You might think that you're lazy, but let me tell you something right now. You're not lazy. It's just a perception that you have. I had the same perception. I struggled with this about myself for a long time until I figured out some things I'm going to teach you in this video, how you can overcome laziness and never have to deal with this again. So let me tell you a little story first of all. So if you guys don't know, I've been in the process of a move. That's why I've been in all kinds of temporary spaces, but I finally bought this house and I was in St. Petersburg, Tampa, basically Florida, and I was moving the stuff out of my apartment there because I was there for a little bit of time. And what happened was I actually had to have this pod that was delivered and I had to get everything out of this third floor apartment in basically one day. And then I had to get all the furniture to this junk haul place to remove the furniture. And I basically had 1 day and a half after that, or a half a day after that, to get all this done and get moved out of this apartment. And what I ended up doing was just climbing up and down those stairs, filling this whole 8-foot by 8-foot pod in 1 day's worth of time and getting it all done. Now, it seemed like an insurmountable amount of work. Up to that point, I was super tired. I didn't feel like doing anything. Believe me, I had been running around already, but I got it all done and I was making super fast time. I was running up and down the stairs, getting all this stuff packed in there. I basically started working at maybe 9 o'clock in the morning until really like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this story is because I was able to be the opposite of lazy. I was able to be like super full of energy. How did I generate all this energy? How did I have all this energy when there was nothing magical going on except for a few things that I want to tell you about? And primarily what it was that I had a deadline, specific context in which I needed to do this work, and it was do or die. I had to get this done. There was no choice about doing this. Plus, I had this ability to break things into smaller tasks. So let's break that down and let me show you how that story illustrates how you're not actually lazy. Now, you could probably relate to this. So you can imagine you've probably been in a scenario like this where you've had to get some work done and you've done some crazy amount of work, some insane amount of work, even though you might think you're lazy, but you did that. Why did you do that? So what I want you to realize about this is that laziness is not an attribute that you possess. You are not lazy. It's just contextual. You're lazy in certain situations or you act lazy, but I want to give you 3 things that you can do right now to stop this, to have as much energy as you want in your life and to never be lazy again. The first one here is create deadlines for yourself. In that story of moving those boxes, what happened was I had a deadline. I had a pod. It's like this moving truck thing that they drop off, this container, and I had less than 24 hours to fill that thing because they were picking it back up. So I didn't have a choice. So by creating that deadline, by saying this work has to be done within this time frame, it stops you from being lazy. Now, why is that? It's because you have a deadline. If you have to be somewhere, if you have to do something, you're going to suddenly get the energy to do it. Your brain is really smart, your subconscious mind. It will try to do the laziest thing. It's going to try to do the path of least resistance. That's how we're built. You have to understand this about yourself. And so you have to paint yourself into a corner and make it so that you have to do something. That's why if you create a deadline, all of a sudden, you're going to have the energy to do that. When I was running up and down those stairs, carrying all those boxes, everyone was like, what the heck? How do you have all this energy, John? And it's because it has to be done. Because I had a deadline and I had to meet that deadline. So that gave me the ability to do that. So it doesn't matter how I was feeling before then. I was super tired. But I had all that energy because I had a deadline. The second thing here is you have to create do or die situations. Again, this is really related in the sense that I had to do this. There was no one else going to do this. I got some help, obviously, but there was basically it was a majority of it was on me. If I wasn't the one that was going up and down the stairs and moving all those boxes, it wasn't going to get done. There was no way it was going to get done in time. So I had to do it. So I created a do or die situation. I booked that pod. I only gave it 1 day. There was no option, no way to get out of this. And so you have to create those do or die situations. Every time that I've really thrived in life, I've really succeeded, it's because I created some do or die situation where I had to succeed. There was no option besides succeeding. So burn the boats. Create situations in your life where you have to sink or you're going to swim. And sometimes you just have to throw yourself into the deep end. In fact, I did a video on this, on how to create do or die situations in order to become wealthy. The only reason why I ever became a millionaire, the only reason why I ever succeeded so much in life and made this money and was able to retire early was because I created these do or die situations where I dove in over my head. All right, and I have a video on that. If you haven't watched it already, if you're a member, go watch that video. It's in the mindset section of the membership. But if you haven't already joined, definitely join. $7 for the first month, and you're gonna love it. There's a huge community of men that are helping each other to become stronger, to build financial independence, to overcome all these mental blocks, and really develop this stoic mindset. Anyway, let's talk about the third thing. The third thing is you have to break things into smaller tasks. When you think about that moving scenario, while I was going up and down those stairs, and believe me, 3 flights of stairs, it's a long way, it's not fun, there was no elevator. I kept on thinking to myself, every time I take some stuff out of this apartment and move it, I am getting closer to the end. If I just looked at this whole apartment, it's like, oh, all this stuff has to be put into this box, this container. No way. Instead, I thought, okay, let me just move this one, let me move this one. So I broke this entire move into boxes. The same thing with your life, with whatever you're trying to do. You're lazy because you see this huge task and you're like, this is gonna take too long, it's too hard. But if you break things down into small tasks and you're like, okay, every time I make one step, I'm getting closer. When you feel like you're making progress, that is when you have the motivation and the energy. And it also energizes you. You feel good because it's like, I'm making progress. I can see the progress I'm making. It's simply by a mental hack of breaking things down into smaller things. So that's it. That's all you have to do. And I'm telling you, you are not lazy. If you want some more help with this, by the way, I do have more videos on the subject because I know this is not necessarily enough for you to just think that this solves your problem. So I want you to watch this next video. It's how to stop being lazy. I did this video in 2020, but it applies any year. This tells you exactly how to change your identity and how to stop being lazy for good. So if you like this video, definitely watch that one next. And let's make this year a super productive year. If you felt this video was helpful, definitely leave a thumbs up on here. But watch this video next, how to stop being lazy.